Awesome. Thank you guys for attending this week's second meeting for the Master Health Volunteer Program. Quick review, just remember if you haven't picked up your binder, you can pick those up with Cassandra at Painted Horse with Cassandra, or you can pick them up here at my office. Just let me know so I can make sure that I'm here, or make sure that my my coworkers are here also if I'm not available. We're going this, technically we are starting this week would be module 2, which is spiritual health. Last week we did, everybody should have had the opportunity to work on module 1, which is the emotional health. Now I know that this is kind of, we've had people having a hard time getting their books, you know, so we're just going to keep up pace reviewing each module for each week, but we're going to do that at the beginning of our little meeting here, and to answer any questions and kind of review what the module was about. And then afterwards, if you need to leave after the first half hour, please feel free to leave. If you're just getting started and meeting with the group, stay for the next half hour and I'll answer questions and we can go over things that you may have missed the prior week. So remember, with Master Health Volunteer, this is totally self-working, right? You can work on it, go ahead, move ahead, use your workbook. This group is to help answer questions. If you have questions or concerns, or if there's something that you want to share with the group. We are actually the first, within this, for the Master Health Volunteer Program, we're the first Native American group to go through this. So on that note, your feedback within this program is extremely important. Let us know what your thoughts are in regards to anything. If anything sticks out, let us know. If you're, even like with the photographs, just kind of let us know, because your feedback is really important. So at the end of each module, please take the time to fill the surveys out, and then let us know, because that's how we refine these programs. Claire and Jennifer have been working very hard on making sure that things are done appropriately and they look good for us. So I really commend them. And then also, if you have any technical difficulties, Claire is the person to reach out to. But we will be getting a Facebook page going off of Painted Horse, and we'll send everybody so everybody will link onto that, and we can kind of know, everybody knows what's going on. So we're going to start quickly out with introductions. My name is Michelle Chapoose. I work for USU. And I know most of you. So go ahead and go, whoever wants to go next. Just a quick introduction.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Flo. I'm a tribal member, and I actually wanted to take this class because I am in the recovery community with our tribe and Bertle. So yes, hopefully I'll be able to help out with some knowledge that I have learned through my recovery. And good morning to everybody.
Hi everybody, my name's Tracy Frost. I work over in Vernal. I am the 4-H coordinator over here, and I'm excited to join the group.
I'm Mercedes and I work here in Roosevelt. I do Create Better Health, and I go out and teach nutrition classes, and I'm also here for any questions or support because I have already completed the Master Volunteer Program. So I'm excited to
Hi, my name is Yvette, and I'm also in Roseville. I work for USU Extension. I'm a Create Better Health Ambassador and a Family Wellness Program Coordinator, but I am also here for support for anyone that needs it.
Good morning, this is Cassandra. I'm the program director for Painted Horse. And I have two other staff members here too.
I'm Bodney Chapoose. I'm a gym operator, personal trainer here at Painted Horse.
Okay.
And I am Jeanette Sespuch. I work for Painted Horse. I'm the community coordinator.
I am Jenny. I'm the female trainer with Painted Horse.
Jennifer, I am marketing lead for Tribal Opioid Resource Center and the initiative, and help with things that come out of the Create Better Health program to let everybody know what's going on there. And if there's any communication things that you guys want to see come out into this group, or any help that you guys need, just let me know.
Hello, everybody. I'm Susie Prevedel. I am a USU Extension faculty here in the Uinta Basin, and so I get to work with Michelle and Tracy and Cassandra and everybody. So I am here for kind of support and a little bit of guidance down the road when people start working on their projects. So welcome, everybody. Excited to meet everybody.
All right, Shay, do you want to introduce yourself? I think you're the last one.
Okay, hey everybody, my name is Shay Wobsock and I work with the Painted Horse Diabetes Prevention Center. I'm a nutrition coordinator.
Awesome. Thank you guys all for showing up today. I really appreciate it. So quick comments. How was your, how many of you guys have had the opportunity to finish your module 1? Just go ahead and speak out.
No. I got my packet today.
Okay,
So
perfect.
I will catch up.
Awesome. Anybody else? I know Shay had made some comments about completing module 1 last week. All right. So what we're going to do, so once again, if you haven't started with your modules, this first half hour, we're going to cover module 2. And then the last half hour, we'll go over again with module 1. So I think that's kind of the format we're going to keep, is as the weeks progress, we want to be able to cover each one of those modules on a weekly basis. And mostly it's just to help answer questions, go over some of the things in your workbook. It's an opportunity for us to kind of support and help each other. So we'll, oh, go ahead, Sweetwater, can you introduce yourself?
Well, I'm just barely getting in.
You are fine. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Sweetwater Reyes.
Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And I know until we kind of get all our kinks worked out, we may have people popping in and out. So, all right. So we're going to cover this module 2, and then afterwards, we'll cover the prior week. So if you don't feel you need to stay after that first half hour, you're more than welcome to leave. If you want to offer some support and help for those who are still on the previous week's module, I'd love that. It's always good to hear how everybody can support each other, especially with this, looking at different projects and how we're going to move forward. So this week's module is on spiritual health. So how many of you guys have had an opportunity to look at this module or work on it? I'm going to put you guys on a gallery view so I can see all your faces.
I just barely started it, so I don't have much to say about it right now.
Nothing wrong with that.
I can't get my thing to log in.
Okay. Remember, if you guys are having any difficulty with any of your login or the technical parts, don't hesitate to reach out to Claire or myself. And then if you reach out to me, then I'll reach out to Claire. Because Claire is our mastermind when it comes to this. All right, so I'm going to share my screen.
What?
All right, we are on module 2. Let's see.
Yeah.
All right, this is on our spiritual health. So within this module, one of the first things we're looking at is the spiritual health model will cover many different aspects of spiritual health. So that's one thing that we've really found, not only in the work with recovery, but people who are who are in a place of getting their lives in order or finding what they need to support their endeavors. We found that the spiritual concepts are really important to address. Sometimes the one thing I really want to let you guys know is that when we start talking about spirituality, a lot of people feel that spirituality refers directly to an organized religion. This is not about you identifying with an organized religion. This is about you identifying how you find your spirituality. So it could come in many forms, right? Spirituality is extremely individual. So don't let yourself kind of get a little bit, sometimes we can get uncomfortable with this, but this is, there's no judgment about whatever it is that you're choosing. So it's just important to remember spiritual health is how you define it, not according to how another person defines that. And the way you practice it, the way you live it, it's totally yours, right? So don't let yourself get caught into into that place where you think it has to be an organized religion. It doesn't have to be. For some it is, for others it's not. It's just about your own spiritual wellness. So in the spiritual health, it'll go over a lecture. How many of you, have you guys watched the lecture yet?
No.
Okay. So in that, this is just a place for you to write down your notes, write down some things that are popping out for you. I know sometimes we get in a place where it's like we want to write down everything, but what I would really like you to focus on is what pops out. What is it that draws your attention? Because usually that is something that you may be having questions about, or you feel that you may need to you may want to know more about. So just kind of go on that first initial response when you watch that. But remember, you can always go back and re-watch these videos too, okay? This is not about being right or wrong. It's about you enhancing your own spiritual health. So with that, then you're going to complete each of the spiritual health activities. So down in that box, we see these different activities. Record what a meaningful life looks like to you, and what things bring the most meaning to your life. Now that's kind of a very broad question. So what I would like you to do on that question, it's not what I would like you to do, what will be helpful is so let's say what a meaningful life looks like. For me, it would be spending time with my family. Okay, that's a huge concept, right? Let's take it down. Let's bring it down to more of a pinpoint thing. Okay, would it be spending 3 hours a week with my family? Or would it be having dinners on Sundays with my mom and my family? So what I want you to do is take this broader concept and bring it down to something that's a little bit more exact. And so what that helps you do is when we start looking at things in such broad concepts, they can become overwhelming. So if we bring that down to a specific activity or a specific thing, it just makes it easier for us to see that we're achieving those goals, or that we're, this is what we're doing to help us strengthen ourselves. So be as specific as you can. complete the simple 10-minute meditation exercise. Meditation and exercise, those are actually very, and I know we have some specialists in on this. Meditation and exercise are very beneficial to the body, especially with being able to relax and open ourselves up to breathe completely. You know, that stomach breathing, not being a chest breather, but allowing full oxygen to run through the body. One thing, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, I want you to think about a time when something has happened and you've all of a sudden become like tense. Like all of a sudden you're just like, maybe somebody challenges a thought that you have, or somebody upsets you, or something may happen. Where is the very first place you tense up? So think about your bodies. Where's that very first place?
In your lower extremities.
Okay. In your lower extremities. Where else?
Mine is like my jaw area.
Okay.
Because I have anxiety disorder. So yeah.
I didn't hear you. What? What happened?
My jaw.
Oh.
I feel it.
She's saying, where do you tense up at?
Like
where do normally people tense up at when you get stressed or nervous or something like that, right? Is that what you said, Michelle?
Yes. Yep. Okay, the reason why I want you guys to think about that is because it's also about knowing our own physical selves, right? Our own bodies.
I'm not on mute.
I'm not even on.
So really quick, if you're not talking, go ahead and keep your phone on mic. We're getting like a lot of feedback. So part of it is recognizing where you hold tension and where that tension occurs. Because the moment you start recognizing that, you can use this meditation and exercise to help calm the body. The next one is list your gifts, talents, and abilities. How do they bring happiness to you? How can they bring happiness to others? You know, a lot of us have a lot of abilities and talents, but sometimes we don't, because we're afraid for whatever reason, sometimes we don't share that. And it's important to recognize what your capabilities are. It's not about being prideful. It's not about, oh, look at me, this is what I can do. It's about recognizing that you have talents and you have abilities. Think of something you look forward to do in the future. Reflect on how it makes you feel. Goals and planning ahead is really important. It doesn't have to be anything major. It can be a minor thing. It can be a short-term goal. But it's always good to have something to look forward to. And this gives you an opportunity to kind of look at what you're looking forward to. So complete the values clarification activity to identify your core values, and complete the meaning in life questionnaire activity. All right. Well, I always flip through these pages, it's wrong. Let me see. Okay, so this is the first step we have introducing your volunteer project. Now, the whole purpose of this program, when you are completed, is for you to plan out and complete a volunteer project. When Claire did the workbook, she made it so instead of it all of a sudden happening at the end, when it's like, okay, bam, you need to do a project. We're gonna work through the project throughout all the modules. So this is your first planning part and first introduction. All right, any questions so far just on the module itself on spiritual health? Any questions or feedback?
I just want to say on the meditation part, I tried that and I checked my heart rate. And so doing the meditation, it brought it down because I think it was at a 70, and then it brought it down to like a 67. So I was impressed with that because I don't know much about meditation. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's way awesome. And there's a lot of different meditations out there. you guys have probably seen them like advertised on Facebook. There's different ones that you can find on YouTube. So find what works, but that's really awesome, Sandy. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so our project. So after completing the spiritual health section, you will learn more about how to plan your volunteer project. I know a lot of us have had ideas of programs or little projects that we could see throughout our communities, but sometimes that's as far as it goes, is just the thought. I think it's really important for us to learn those skills on how to follow through, how to get it planned out, find out who our connections are, be able to have the activity or the volunteer project and then have it done. So this is going to be so beneficial to all of us. I know it's a good review for myself to, to remind myself on how planning and implementing and closing needs to work. So the cool thing about this, you're going to find, not just with this project, but you can use these steps in any project that you are planning in your community, whether it's with the Master Health Volunteer Program, or if it's something that you have a passion for that you would just like to do. One thing that really popped to my mind is, I don't know if you guys know about the community closet they have over here in Roosevelt, where you can drop off clothing and people can freely come in and get what they want and not have to pay. I was thinking, I just had a conversation with somebody on Facebook about that, about would that be cool to do within our tribe. And so it's like, this gives me the exact steps to be able to do something like that. All right, so community needs and resources. So this week, when you are working on this module, after you are done with the spiritual health, one of the things I would like you to encourage you not to do is wait to fill these out. Start working on the project information when it's in the module you're working on. So this one is your community needs and resources. So contact information. What are 3 needs you see in your community? So does anybody kind of have in mind a community project or something they want to see within their community?
Yeah.
Please share.
So let me get it. Let me see. Let me say this. You said, does anybody have any ideas on a community project for a community, right? Okay, so what I think is something that could be a good project is outreach to the elderly people that are home, or to people that are homebound because of medical or physical, limitations or whatever. I think outreach to those people by maybe a charitable group or people that are just volunteering, like this program, volunteering to come together and then go out to outreach to the elders, like just go check on them, see if they need something. I mean, now's not a very good time because we have to be really precautious about, with the virus going around. But I mean, later on, or however it needs to be, however it could be for people, set something up to where people are comfortable, like whoever's in charge of the volunteer group, if they get with the proper authorities or authoritarians at this time of this pandemic of our tribe, then maybe they could all work something out to where people sign up or however, but there's so many things that probably would have to be looked at right now as far as doing that outreach. But I think outreach to not even to elders, but and those people would be the first people that come to mind, the elders, and then even after this thing is over with, to go outreach and just go see people that are challenged.
Yeah.
Perfect. That sounds amazing. That sounds like an amazing project. So it would be, like one of your needs in your community would be, like Chris mentioned, being connection and outreach to elders and people who are with disabilities who are homebound, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's an awesome thing. That's something that I think we all see now with what's going on, not only just with our elders and those people with disabilities, but our people who are dealing with substance use issues, people who are dealing with domestic abuse issues, and just the parents who are home with their children all the time. Sometimes parents need other connection, right? They need other adults to talk to. So that's awesome. That's an awesome need. Anybody else see a need in their community?
Well, like the other day I was hanging out with family and I noticed that like health, like exercising is a major issue. Me and my husband actually went the other way. Two of the recovery programs that we're a part of is Addict to Athlete, and they are a bunch of recovering addicts. We support family members too of addicts, even the children. We're not anonymous group. We are, open about, what we do. And me and my husband host a NA meeting in our community, which we haven't been able to do, unfortunately. But so we're getting in shape, and my recovery had plateaued, and I was going through a lot of stuff in my life, like with my animals getting hurt and everything. And so I was in the impulsive decision making period, and I decided to go start playing softball again, and I was way out of shape. So I start playing softball straight off the couch, and now we do CrossFit, and I've lost like 50 pounds so far.
Oh my God.
So, and my husband, he has type 2 diabetes, and he could have died. And that is when, I was like, we need to change our life. I told him, I'm so scared of diabetes. It's an epidemic in our community. My stepdaughter takes insulin. It's horrible. But like, I've done a lot of research. It's been hard, but we're reversing his diabetes, and he won't even need to be on a shot or pills or anything, just because of a diet and getting motivated to get out there and do it, and to be able to push ourselves past our own mind. Like one person that I love till this day is David Goggins. Like he says, like when we're working out and we get to where, we're like, okay, I can't go no more, and you stop, we're only at 40%. That means our mind is disabling our body to keep pushing past, because once we hit that spot in our mind, that means our body could still go 60%. So I keep pushing through that, kind of going on autopilot. And, it's been a rough journey since the whole COVID thing happened, like a lot of mental health too. So I think like exercise and like mental health and stuff would be really good.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. So on that one, because that is a huge chunk of something, right? So the key on that one would be to bring it down. What would be the first step? And maybe it's motivation, right? Teach people how to push and motivate themselves. And so when you have these larger concepts, remember to bring them down. It's like an onion. I always think of Shrek, peel the onion, get down to the next layer. So what would be next? What would be the first step? So maybe on that one, your initial goal could be, getting people to, engage in more exercise and engage in their, healthy diet. But the first thing would be how to teach people to be motivated, how to find that motivation. How do you find that inspiration as a community? How do we get our community members to see that you have control, that you, even though things can be crazy right now, especially with all the restrictions that we have, but you can still be motivated and still make those changes. That is that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else have any other sort of ideas that they see in their communities? I know one thing that stuck out to me is with our little guys.
Yeah.
Having them have something, having like an art project for them. I've thought about how fun it would be if there was a family to take a bag that has like an art project for the month and drop it off at their home. not even have to have any contact, but you delivered an activity for them to participate in as a family. And of course, we know that's going to cost, right? We know that a lot of our ideas may have funding and items that need to be purchased. So that's when we move down to what are some resources you are aware of in your community that can help meet those needs. So obviously, one of our biggest community advocates and community programs is Painted Horse and their staff. So that's amazing resources. With the COVID stuff going on, Felicia's program, what's her program called, Sandy?
Emergency management.
No, is that you?
So that could be a program to reach out to, right? So the one thing to remember is when we start looking at resources and we start reaching out to programs, we risk the potential of them saying no. Is it okay to ask even though someone's may tell you no?
Yes.
You really don't know until you ask.
Well, like for the big project, I know I'm like shamelessly plugging, but we're actually in the process of doing a big project for Addict to Athlete. We went last year and like I didn't know what it was. We just went because it was an auction and fundraiser, you know, for a good cause, for, you know, these guys who was doing the recovery thing but trying to implement exercise on top of that, you know. And this year we find ourselves like my husband Papa Bear is assistant coach now, and so, you know, just all of this is like kind of what I'm going through already, and because we're doing the fundraiser auction in a couple of weeks, so everybody's welcome to come. We're doing social distancing and it'll be safe, so
that's awesome. That is way awesome. And I have nothing wrong with you guys plugging any event you're doing, because I think that's what it's about, right? It's not about having all these individual things and not having connection. It's about getting everybody involved because we can all support each other's programs. So this next one is, what are some passions or interests you have related to health and well-being? So this is going to come back to you because you want to be able, if you're going to do a program, if you're going to do something, you need to have a passion and interest towards it, because you're going to invest a different amount of time and a different amount of energy. Yeah. Sometimes when we're put on projects as part of a job, we may not have a passion for that. And we can actually see it in our behavior and the way we implement part of that. But that's just human nature, right? So it's important to make sure you're aware of what your own interests are in regards to health and well-being. When we find ourselves in a place of balance, we are more capable of being impactful in our communities because we've got ourselves in a good place. So it's always important to keep that, you know, revert it back to you, make sure that you're in a good place to be able to help others. All right, so on the next page for this, we're going to look at local resources worksheets. So what are your top 3 health areas of interest? So as you see, kind of what this has done is we're starting to pin it down a little bit more, right? We're starting to get more direct. The page before, you were kind of allowed to kind of throw some ideas, you know, talk about what your interests are, get your brain going. But now here, we would like you to identify your top 3 health areas of interest. Then list the names and contact information for local resources. Now, the date on this is really important also. That's one of the key components when we start setting goals and start moving forward on projects, is we need to make sure we set ourselves a timeline and a date. It needs to be achievable, attainable. Don't put something out there that's not really, it may sound good, like, oh, by next week, I'm going to contact 5 people. You know, is that realistic? Look at it realistically. How many people are you planning on contacting? But give yourself a date, a realistic and achievable date. When we set goals, sometimes we have a tendency to overwhelm ourselves with this huge goal, and then we don't get it accomplished. And what that can do is that can lead to a negative self-talk. Like, oh, look, I wasn't able to do this, or I'm such a failure. You know, it's not helpful. So be realistic about when this is going to be achieved. Now, things are going to be a little bit different during our time frames with this Master Health Volunteer because of COVID, but also because of holidays, right? We've got holidays coming up. And holidays are going to look totally different than they have in the past. So be a little bit lenient on your time frames for yourself. Be realistic. Be what really, and when you talk about like your different organizations and the different health area, the local organizations, contact name information, reach out to people that you know. So like with Sandy has some contacts, you know, tribal and non-tribal. Tracy knows people in Vernal because she works with 4-H. You know, look to each other and see if there's an organization that you're wanting to find some information about. So reach out to each other. Any questions on starting your projects? Do you think this is going to be helpful to you guys, doing it this way? All right. So, Chris, you look like you are totally bored. So if you guys don't have any questions on our module 2, you're more than welcome to leave. If you don't have any questions on your first steps for your volunteer projects, please make sure that you work on those, that you have that volunteer project first steps completed before you move on to module 3. That's just going to help you to be on top of that. If you don't have any questions, I will plan on seeing you guys next week for module 4, just a review. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. If we're going to get that, me and Miss Cassandra are going to get that Facebook group page going. So you guys will be able to throw ideas on there, connect with each other, have questions, share experiences, because this is about working with each other and supporting each other in our different projects, because together we're strong. So if you need to go, we'll see you next week. For those of you who today's just your first day logging on, stay on and we'll review module 1.
Michelle?
Yes.
Are we, next week we're doing module 3, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does anybody have any suggestions for a nutrition program that anyone can be involved in to kind of get sort of any like training or anything like that? Does anybody know any of any program or anything like that?
Does Extension have anything like that?
Hi, Tracy. I forgot to say hi to you earlier.
How are you, Shay?
I'm good.
Yeah, I was thinking that through. I think Susie logged off. Create Better Health. Does Create Better Health do some of that? I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I'll let Yvette or Mercedes chime in, and then also Kara Murray. Shay is doing the Create Better Health from the UNS side as well. And so those are our main ones, and the other nutrition information beyond general Create Better Health is really a starter course, and then beyond that there's some things that I could line you up with some of our other specialists if you're interested. But that would be something to check in with the new materials from Mercedes and Yvette. Maybe they can comment on that with what they've got going on.
That sounds like an awesome goal and an awesome direction. So when you think about it, when you're thinking about, you know, with all of that, what is your main focus on? Is it just for you to get the education first to implement in your community, like basic nutrition education, or is it a little bit more than that?
I guess you can say that, because I feel like without any headway, I wouldn't just be talking about anything. I would just be kind of BSing my way through it all the time. So
Yeah. Like I think that's an awesome idea because like I have a lot of friends who want to, you know, start eating healthier, and like I've done like tons of research, like hours and hours of research on my own, and I have like a lot of recipe ideas too. So, I mean, maybe we could get together and like discuss some more of what is realistic on what natives would actually eat. I have a really picky grandpa and he's
Yeah.
way old school, but I have gotten him to eat some really healthy food, and like I've made like a it tasted like fried rice, but it had no meat in it, and it was made out of that quinoa. It was really cool. So I have a lot of good ideas, you know, when it comes to nutrition, and especially for like diabetics, because my mom, she's on dialysis, and they have a whole different kind of diet than, you know, people who are just on insulin. So it's, yeah, there's a lot of education that goes into that. So
Yeah, because I feel like the Create Better Health, it's like they're all over the place. And I
Mhm.
feel like that program, we can, since we're already partners, we can probably already tie it into some of our events and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But speaking of like traditional, whatever, like the traditional foods that were around here, like asparagus, berries and fruits like that, a lot of people really don't think about that. And so it'd be kind of more educational, I guess, for you to say that, like, hey, like this is like a program that we should kind of make is like a maybe a traditional foods program or something like that, or maybe a course. Because I know that UNT River kind of has like a little bit, but I'm not sure on what their curriculum is like.
Mhm.
But I feel like that would be an interesting thing, because I know that we do have like sweat lodges and drum making and beadwork, but nobody really talks about food or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, especially because I know you was doing the gardening thing, and a lot of things that I've seen from other tribes is they are starting to grow their own food and teach their children, you know, them kind of skills too. So that'd be great.
Even that would, it's probably like one way to lead into it too. So yeah.
Mhm. Yay.
That's awesome. That is way awesome. As you can, I mean, that was just a simple brainstorming thing, right? But look what it came from it. So, I mean, I know all of you guys have different experiences, and I like, my brain started going off on like, okay, blah, blah, you know, on all these different, this could be this, and this could be this, and this could be that. But that's why it's really important to get this planning process started, but be able to really get your ideas in a nice little, this is where we're going to start. Because sometimes what happens, and we could easily see this, is we can become overwhelmed with all these ideas, and then we lose focus of what our initial goal is. So make sure you write what that initial goal is. And so from what I'm hearing, like with you, for you, Shay, is for you to find some of that basic nutritional education, right? And so then that can branch off into all these other things like we just did. But it's like, okay, let's go back to what our initial goal and project is. And the cool thing is with the way this project papers are done for your project, you can implement that in anything. It is so versatile. These steps can help you. So once you get that first step going, let's do, you know, we do our, let's say Shay decides he wants to focus on general health education for communities, and then maybe give that like a year, you have a goal that's where you're wanting to do. When you meet that goal, the next natural step is introducing, I don't know, I'm just throwing this off the top of my head. It could be like introducing the local, and it could start prior to the end of your last goal, introducing the native foods that are original to the area, you know, like the garlic, potatoes, carrots, asparagus, and the berries. And then part of that could be, you know, moving into recipes. How do you utilize them in a recipe? How can you create a recipe? So the cool thing is with just this small concept that Shay introduced, holy smokes, it opened up a whole bunch of everything, right? And it has the potential to be something amazing and impactful. So thank you for bringing that up, Shay.
Yes.
But if I can think of anybody else, Sandy, what is the program, the GWIC? Don't they do, didn't they have a part where they were working with native foods and good health and wellness in Indian country? Would that be a good connection?
Yeah, we're having issues over here. Okay, no. So when I'm talking, I can hear across the table, it's echoing.
So what you do with that is you mute the other computer and turn off the volume, because you can still hear yourself and it's coming back and being heard on your computer. So you have to turn the volume off and you won't get feedback.
Okay, so the Good Health and Wellness Grant, it has 4 different strategies that you can participate in. There's the National Diabetes Prevention Program curriculum, that's an option. Breastfeeding's an option. What is the other one? Smoking and increase healthy food. Those are the 4 options that with that grant. So yeah, it could fit into that.
But
The
here's
other thing I was talking about, or I was thinking of too, and I always wanted to do it, but I didn't know how it would be received, is to do community meals like monthly, and bringing in the like game meat. But with that, there's certain things you're not supposed to do while you're on certain events. So I don't know. So I'm just, I always wanted to do that for the communities. I just didn't know exactly how to go about it with all of the different things.
That's a brilliant idea. And what's cool about that one too is that can also serve twofold, right? Well, 3 actually, because you're bringing in traditional foods, but then you can also teach and model cultural behaviors, but then you're also engaging in community connection. And so when we start looking at individual cultures and individual practices within any sort of community, I know they're all going to be different, right? One of the biggest challenges is we've got our 3 bands, we've got our separate families, everybody has a different way to practice. And so, that's also an opportunity to reinforce those cultural teachings and getting that into a place where it's okay to talk about it and it's okay that everybody has a different way of doing it, but then having a general rule, you know what I mean? One thing too I wanted to point out is we may get 100 suggestions on how to do something, right? But I want you guys to remain true to what your idea is. You do not have to change that because somebody's offering you a solution. You don't have to go with their solution. This is your project. You have a vision of how you want that project to look. So if something isn't going to fit, don't worry, you're not hurting anybody's feelings by not doing that. Stay true to what it is you're wanting to accomplish. I always tell people, it's like, no matter what I tell you, use what you need to use and throw out what you don't. These are just suggestions and these are just from my perspective. But stay true to what your goals are and what your plan is. And if something does not fit that, then don't use it. Because then what happens is we lose our passion. This is no longer becoming our project. It is somebody else's project, and then we step back. So remain true to that part of you, okay? So we've had some ideas thrown out there. Shay, if any of those fit, pursue them. If they don't, if we're still hitting it off the mark and you want feedback, just let us know, right? All right. Those are some brilliant ideas, you guys. Any other comments?
Michelle?
Yes.
I did not know that they had a community closet over in Roosevelt. So that was one of the things we were talking about too, but it would be geared more for the young parent.
Yeah.
Like people just starting out as a family, I've got tons of junk at my house, but I mean, plates and, utensils and pots and pans and, all that kind of stuff. So I hate to throw things away, but if somebody could use them, that I thought about that, because I know Head Start does the clothing exchange. And I'm not sure how popular that is, but with us getting a new building and having the actual space to, have people come and bring things and come and take what they need, that would be awesome, I think.
And what I love about that is it's because we all know, we've all been in a place where it's like we haven't had the money to get what we need. And so we make the best of it. And sometimes, and there can be a lot of different emotions that come along with that. There can be guilt, there can be shame, whether it be faults or, our own. But I think by creating a non-judgmental mental environment for people to come in and get what they need for free is very empowering for our community, for our community members that may be struggling. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really, when I've been going through my clothes, holy smokes, I'm thinking, why do I have so many clothes? And then I still need to go through them. But it's like, I don't want somebody to have to pay for something, $7 or $8 for something, because the cost at some of our stores have actually become very high, and that's still unattainable. So I love how they have this, you drop it off and then they have their store. I think it's open like every Thursday, Friday, or I may be wrong on the dates, but people are allowed to come in and do their shopping. And they accept clothing, they accept shoes, they accept anything that you donate. And so Sandy, like you were saying, with like how many people are actually don't have the basic needs of like silverware, cups. And, I had even thought about donating like laundry soap or, or dishwashing, dish soaps and dish rags. So I think, it's a brilliant idea. It's very empowering to our communities, because how many people just need that equity? We all have equality, right? We all have equal accessibility, but the equity is what we're missing. And sometimes that equity comes in just being able to get those basic needs for free. And if people, and we always hear, well, what if somebody doesn't need it for free? Well, I always tell them that's on them. We still provide an environment for people to get what they need. And if somebody misuses that, that's theirs. That's not ours.
Yep.
So yeah, you can see we have a ton of projects. We have a ton of ideas. So now you guys there's about 25 of us totally in this group. That's like 25 brilliant brains, 25 different connections that you have, ideas, visions, input. You guys are all very valuable. And so hopefully with this, we'll start moving other people into these projects. And like I said, the cool thing is you are going to be building up a workbook on how to start and finish a project. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you guys for coming. We're gonna kind of review module 1 really quick for those who weren't here last week. We're gonna go through it very quickly. Even though we're supposed to end at 10:55, well, we still have more time because we know nothing ever ends on time, right? All right, so we're gonna be looking in your workbook. It's on page 27, and that is the emotional health. Shay shared something last week about when he had gone through this part of the modules, how a lot of the concepts that they taught were things that he had heard from other tribal, other community members, talking about this emotional part. In society, our emotions are, kind of frowned upon to express. You know, what's the first thing we do when we have a little guy and they fall and they start to cry? What's don't be crying, you're okay.
That's not what I say.
So from a very young age, we actually kind of start hindering that emotional expression or that emotional health. But the reality comes down to that we can only experience life through emotion. That's how we experience. And so hindering that is not helpful at all. So this kind of goes over your emotional health. So that first section talks about watching the video, and then use this page to write down your notes. Remember to just write down those things that stick out. You may want to write down everything, but write down those things that pop out the most. And don't be afraid to like add other pages to this or write in the margins. There's nothing more I love to see more than a book that is totally written in every space, just because you're putting down those ideas, right? So write down what your notes are. Then you're going to complete the flourishing scale activity using the 1 to 7 scale below. Indicate your agreement with each of the following 8 statements. So I lead a purposeful and meaningful life. You're going to gauge that for your own self. Now remember, when you do that, don't look at it as a disparity, right? Don't look at it as the negative parts. Look at it like, yeah, I do see some meaning in my life. May not be a lot, but there is meaning. So what this is going to help you do is be more solution focused and help train you to look at, instead of having a negative filter about things, to be looking at things in a more positive light. Because when we look at things in a positive light, we're more likely to have develop an action or a plan to move forward or to change. Your social relationships are supportive and rewarding. I'm engaged and intersected in my daily activities. I actively contribute to the happiness and well-being of others. I am competent and capable in the activities that are important to me. I am a good person and live a good life. I am optimistic about my future and people respect me. Now, the people respect me question, in reality, we don't really know fully the answer to that, right? We can guess, we can speculate on that. So don't put too much weight into that people respect me concept, because there may be people that we think respect us, but in reality they don't. So, and don't put too much weight in that. That's all I'm getting at. And then do your totals, add your score, add up the level of agreement for each statement. So it gives you some of these, the questions down at the bottom. So which areas of the flourishing scale are most active in your life, and which areas would you like to strengthen? How can you increase happiness in your life? So remember, when we start looking at, especially in our tribal communities, the aspects of our 4 directions or our medicine wheels, whatever circle that you look through, or balance your life out, just remember it's always about balance. When there's more in one space, everything else is off balance. So it's a continual daily thing, right? We've got to find that balance. We've got to actually look and assess and see where there needs to be balance, and then adjust. So if we turn to page 28, this section of emotional health module will explain more about the connection between physical and emotional health. Oh, I forgot I had this on the screen and I can change the page. Let's see. Okay. So watch the 3 emotional health videos and write down your notes. Then complete the value bullseye activity in the following page. So a lot of these are very self-explanatory. These modules are very easy to work through. Let's see. So it talks about the value bullseye activity, right? Your work and education, relationships, personal growth and health, leisure. And then you're going to fill those in, and you're going to find out, make an X in each one of the area of the dartboard to represent where you stand today. So we know we want always that center circle, right? Because it's balanced. It is right there where it needs to be. This is going to kind of help you see where you're off kilter. But don't look at it as a disparity. Look at it as, okay, I need to put more effort here, or I need to put more effort there. But I also really liked how it talked about leisure. Sometimes leisure in society has been viewed as a negative thing, but it's an important part of just finding that place. I know when I get done with work or when I get done with counseling, I have to go in my house and I sit on the couch and I just close the door. And I just have some time to just not take on everybody's stuff, but to kind of process it out, really, do my part in letting myself, it's like that self-care. And so then that's like the de-escalation. But then the leisure part comes in where it's like, all right, I'm going to put the feet up on my recliner and I'm going to turn on a baking show. I love to watch baking shows, especially they're just, I don't know, they're fun to watch. But that's some leisure time, or just sitting outside on the swing. So it's important that we also have that balance. We can't always be work, because then if we do that, we are actually off balance, because then what takes the toll? Usually our personal relationships, right? Our health, because if we're always focused on work, how much time are we taking to make sure we're eating the right thing? How many times do we're working and we overload on coffee to keep you going because you didn't get in a good night's rest because you were thinking about stuff you had to get done at work, and then you totally neglect the leisure part. So this is a really good activity. The cool thing is with this part is you can actually incorporate this into a weekly assessment for yourself. You can do it during the day. The more you practice this is going to help you find that balance, because once you complete your emotional health module, it does not mean you are emotionally healthy for the rest of your life. It just means that you've learned some skills on how to find that and how to balance that, because this is an everyday thing. Let's see. So then we're going to move into the emotional health part 3. So there is watch the 4 mental health videos on suicide prevention. Use the page to write down your notes. Learn about additional resources are available in your community that can help support people who are experiencing crisis. Now we all know within our community that suicide has been it's a problem. It's something that we are dealing with. But it's something also that people have a hard time talking about, because there's these false senses of false guilt and false shame. Somebody is to blame. Mm-hmm. We need to really be able to move away from that and find out how we help our young people, or how we help our community members find that emotional flexibility and that emotional support to address those issues that they have. So we take it from the behavior when we start talking about where do we need to go. Yes.
Oh, hi. I was saying bye. Oh. Bye.
But so this is on that section. And then we're going to then there's also the section on substance use. We all know that substance use is actually substance use is the visual result. Yes. Of a problem. This is how people cope. This is how people distract, because substances distract our thoughts and our processes. So we no longer have to, for a short amount of time, we don't have to deal with the problem. Then we're going to move to self-care. Self-care is very important. We have to have that self-care. Ourselves are the first people we neglect. It's usually ourselves and then our families. Those are the first 2 groups of people where neglect happens first. Self-care, like I said, is so important to identify what self-care is to you and how it's going to help you. Emotional wellness resource video, write down your notes, revisit the first activity from the emotional health module. Write down 3 to 5 sentences, definition of emotional wellness. Now remember, you are not being corrected or graded on this. This is just your thoughts. This is just to help you take what you've learned, take it out of your brain and put it down on paper to make it a little bit more concrete. And so don't worry about your spelling. Don't worry about your sentence formations. You know, there's none of that pressure. Just write down what you feel. That's what I love about this too, is it's not being graded. I think we're all too old for that. All right, and then complete one of the following activities. Now I know a lot of this we can't visit physically, these different areas, but you can look at them online. All right, any questions on that module 1? All right, don't hesitate to reach out to me if you guys need any help or if you just want to chat, because like I told them last week, some of these topics may bring up some personal stuff. And if you just need to chit chat that out, don't hesitate to contact me and we can just kind of chit chat things out. And you know, I'll always do my part to help the way that I can with any of this stuff. So on that note, thank you guys for coming. And Miss Sandy Manning, we will get that page up and then we'll get everybody's emails and link to that so we can all be on this page. And that this Zoom link, if you did not get it in your email, we will make sure it's available. This link will be available until the week of the 17th. After that, the week of Thanksgiving, we're taking off because it's Thanksgiving. Doesn't mean you have to stop working on your modules. Keep on going if you choose to. Don't forget to fill out the surveys. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. See you.
See ya.
Thank you.